Hello everyone. Today is the 12th video of my database management systems practical video series. Today I'm going to do the second video of the fourth day of database management systems, and this video is going to continue the previous question we done in the previous video. Actually the question 11, if you didn't watch that video yet, please go and watch that video first, because otherwise you will not understand what I'm doing here. So let's continue our video. Here's the question 11. You can see we complete this part in the previous video, and let's go to the question 12. You can see there's no context here, so that means we are continuing the previous question. In the first part, we have to create a table called customer. You can see create a customer table to register customers for the software. Follow the instructions below to create this table. Now actually here we have to create a table called customer. In the previous database we created called Next Mobile. So I'm going to use Workbench software for do this part, and you can see the table and the attributes inside of it. Here's the table name customer, and here's the first attribute customer ID. It's going to be the primary key, and it should be auto incremented, and here's the data type int. Okay, here are the other attributes. Let's add them into the table. After we create the table, let's go to our software. Let me clear this one. Okay, you can see here's the table we created earlier. I'm going to add a new table to the ER diagram by click on the add new tool, add new table tool, and then you can press anywhere in the workspace here, and then right click on the table and click edit table 1. Here we have to rename the table to customer. Okay, and then we can define our attributes inside that table. Let me go to the question. Here's the first one, customer ID, and here's the second one, first name, and the other attributes are last name, gender, number. Here you can see I think here's the address field. It breaks down to 3 parts: number, street 1, street 2, and city. Actually 4 parts, and contact number. Here's the status. Okay, let's create that attributes now. Customer ID. Here's the first one, customer ID. And the data type is correct, and I'm going to define this as the primary key, and check the auto increment checkbox. I explained this trick earlier. You don't have to click on the or check the primary key and then check the auto increment key. You just need to check the auto increment key, because there's only because only the primary key will be auto incremented. So the primary key will automatically define to the first attribute. Okay, here's the second one, first name, and I'm going to change the data character length to character length is okay actually. 45 character length is 45 by default, so we don't have to change that one. Let's create the other attribute, last name. Okay, here's the next one, gender, and then the address fields. Let's define the attribute names, and then change the data types and the character length later. Okay, Let's go. Here's the address field number. First one is number, and then street 1, street 2, and here's the city. Okay. And here's the last two attributes, contact number and the status. Contact number, and here's the status. Okay. Status will only hold one character in a single cell, so I change the length to 1, character length to 1, and see what are the other character lengths. You can see only the character length of the gender attribute is 10, and the contact number is also 10. Other attributes are all going to store 45 characters in a single cell. So let's change the contact number, character length of the contact number to 10, and the character length of the gender attribute to 10. Okay. Let me not define not null. Check the not null option to these attributes. Okay. Here we completed our next table, customer. And see, let's see what's the next part we have to do in our question. We completed this one. Here's the second one. Create a table called supplier to register the suppliers of this software. Follow the instructions below to create this table. Okay, we have to create another table. That's the only two parts we have to in order to complete this question 12. That means the question will be continued to the next video. This is going to be a video series. This is going to be a video series. So let's create this one. Here you can see the table name supplier, and here are the attributes: supplier ID, first name, last name. It's going to be the attributes are same like in the previous table we created. Only the email is added to this list. Okay, let's create this one, suppliers. Let's go to our software and create a new table, and here I am editing the table and change the table name to supplier. Okay, here's the first attribute, supplier ID. And it's going to be the primary key, and it should be auto increment. So I'm selecting and checking the auto increment option, and is the second attribute, first name of the supplier, and here's the last name. Okay, let's go to the question and see what are the other attributes. Here are the address fields: number, street 1, street 2, city, number, street 1, street 2, and city. Okay. And here are the other attributes: contact number, email, and status. Contact number, email, and status. Okay, we define our attributes, and let's change the data types and the character lengths. Actually, we don't have to change the data types. All of them are same, and here you can see only the contact number of character length of the contact number is 10, and status is 1. That's the only change we have to do. I'm changing the character length of the contact number to 10, and here's the status, character length of the status, I'm changing it to 1. Okay, here we created our year diagram, but we didn't create these tables yet, so we have to use the forward engineering method. But you can see we already created a table called user inside our database, and we only add these two tables, add this new two tables to our database. We didn't create a new database or do something like that. We only add two new tables into existing database. So in this case, there are two options. You can use forward engineering method again, and here are another method called synchronize model. In this synchronize model, the database, we use this synchronized model if there's a database we create earlier and we did some changes to that database, or like in this video, like in this question, we add new two tables into our database. When we add new changes to the database, we usually don't use the forward engineering method. If there's some data we add to the previous tables inside that database we created earlier, those every details in that table, or every record we stored in that table will be deleted if we use the forward engineering method and create a new table with, database with the same name and the tables, and stored it in the database. That will drop the previous database entirely. So we will lose our data in that database. But if we use the synchronized model, that will only add the new changes we did to the database, and it will not affect our data we insert earlier. So I'm going to use that method now. Just click on the database tab, and then here's the synchronized model. Here you can see the pop-up window is same as the forward engineering method. You have to give it the credentials to access the MySQL server, and then click on the next button. Here you don't have to do anything, and then click on the next button again. And here's the database we want to add our changes. You can select, if there's more options, you can select what database you want to insert these changes. So there's only one table inside my database, so I don't have to change anything. So click on the next button, then you can see the new changes will be done to our database. You can see here are the two tables, customer and suppliers, are going to add to the database called next mobile db. So click on the next button. Here's the ddl command, and click on the execute button. Okay, the synchronize complete successfully. That means we can close this window, and let's see our data is there or not. I'm going to use HadesSQL browser. Here you can see the HadesSQL browser. You can see there's no we cannot find our changes yet. You have to refresh this connection to our database to see the changes we done to the database. So I'm going to click on the refresh button. Here you can see the new tables called supplier and customer are now appeared in our database with the attributes we given to that table. So that means we completed that part of the question. Here we completed the supplier table, and actually we done everything we have to do in this video, in this question 12. And I'm going to stop this video and see you in the next video. And thank you very much for watching.